Hello, welcome back to the Pride Pod here on Loud and Proud Orlando, live every Monday. I am your host, John Rollins, here with Luis Carlos Pineda to talk everything Orlando Pride. Luis, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Obviously, we're coming into a little bit of a break. A lot of, you know, new contracts coming up. News on that we're going to be talking about today for Haley, McCutcheon, Grace Chanda, Ali Lemos, Viviana Villacorta, and Sarah Chavoshi, which also scored for Canada, which we'll talk about that too. International Pride players, U.S. Women's National Team against uh, Ireland, the Republic, right? Zambia, Brazil, England, Canada, and the under 23. So we have a stacked show today. Also, I do want to give a little bit of uh, I don't know. I guess not breaking news, but I mean it is common sense. The prize coming to play internationally as well soon, right? And today, Newell's Old Boys from Newell's Old Boys Femenino, which is Lionel Messi's former team. Uh, the captain of the team is Mariana La Roquette, which actually is the top goal scorer in the Argentinian league and won two titles in this spell that she's been away from the Pride. She's won two titles in Argentina. Her 6 month loan is up, and she's heading back to Orlando. According to Argentinian media, she's heading back to Orlando City. Now added depth for kind of attacking woes there for the Pride. I don't know. Maybe we'll see, but we'll discuss all that and more. John, how are you, man? You doing good?
Good, man. Yeah. Just ready to. I thought this was going to be a week where we wouldn't have that much news. Like we were going to have to try and find some stuff
Yeah,
to talk about,
they
and
hit
then
us. They,
obviously Haley and the Pride front office had other plans this week because
yeah.
they have released so much information about renewing players. So I think we should just get into those one by one and kind of break them down and talk through and see what our thoughts are in general. Today, we'll kind of go in reversed announcement order, starting with the first one announced most recently, and that was Ali Lemos. Announced just at about 5 o'clock today that she has a new contract with the team. Uh, Essentially, they expanded the mutual option. A lot of this you'll see is like this pre-existing terms in the contract, either with the club has an option, or there's a mutual option, or there's an option to extend the contract, and they've done that. So Allie here, the latest of several. So she has a new contract through 2027 with a mutual option for 2028, and I feel like this one makes total sense. I have a lot of faith that Allie is a big career ahead of her. Still a very young player, a player that is in the U.S. U23 training camp currently. So definitely got a bright future. Maybe not performed as well as I would have hoped this year. I was expecting maybe a bit more development from her than on how she started her rookie season last year, but definitely still a lot to come from Ali Lemos. What do you think, Luis?
Well, yeah, like you said, mutual option till 2028. Drafted ninth overall, 2024 NWSL draft. Definitely a promising midfielder. And I love mainly for Ali Lemos her maturity, and I think her professionalism is on point. They were definitely a highlight of the 2024 championship run, and also you're seeing it a lot. I think she's getting more playing time this year, and to me, I see it as a more of like an investment in the future. She's a future
Yeah.
star, not only for the Pride but also for the U.S. Women's National Team. Rather than waiting for her, be off the hook and then having somebody like, Chelsea or somebody out in Europe to poach her, and then for her, look at Alex Kerr's career in Europe. She's one of the top goal scorers in Italy right now. Like, those I see her as that player that could take that gamble if she's kind of let off the hook with the pride and have a very successful career. So what better reward for her, especially with the added minutes she's had this season, to have her stay and develop with the Orlando Pride and be that, hopefully a potential leadership figure down the road. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
I mean, she's only 21 years old. Let's
Look
not
at that.
forget that. Like
I'm old as hell,
she's had
man.
college career and she's only
Golly.
21 years old.
Bro, I feel like I'm like a grandfather.
Yeah, like I think that's the thing is it's someone that I have big hopes for, but maybe I'm a little
Yeah.
bit too keen to see the finished product, and she's still a bit raw, maybe, and a bit
She's
undeveloped,
tough.
perhaps. And I think some of the just learning into NWSL and figuring out what kind of midfielder she's going to be and where her best skills lie. Maybe the Ali gets put in another position at some point with the Pride, and then suddenly she unlocks, and like maybe she's a right back, and we never knew it. I mean, look at what we've done with other players. So I think there's potential there. I'm very hopeful for her this season. She's been okay. She's had 478 minutes. She's started 4 games. She's played in 13 matches. She hasn't got any goals or assists in that time. She's had decent stats, but nothing incredible. So I really hope she kicks on for the rest of this year. But with a contract that goes through 2 years and then a mutual option for a third year, like you said, Luis, definitely one that we have faith in for the future. And hopefully we can see the best of Ali, and haven't seen the best of her yet, for sure. Alrighty, moving on. Orlando Pride also announced today the mutual option for Viv, as she's known, or Viviana Villacorta, through 2026. So they've just agreed to exercise the midfielder's mutual option for 2026. So this is not an extension or a new contract. This is just, hey, we're going to make sure that you're still here with us next season. Luis, your thoughts on Viv so far this season and this extension of her contract?
Well, I
Oh, sorry,
mean,
mutual option.
definitely it's more of like depth. I see it as a depth move. Because now, I mean, this is a player that unfortunately injuries have hindered her tenure with the Pride. I mean, but I heavily remember her when she first debuted, and she had really good performances. I mean, impressive. To me, she was one of the best ones, especially when the Pride were not so hot, back in the day. But we haven't really seen that after the season-ending injury. We haven't really seen that after her return. She only played in 4 matches last season, so not a lot of minutes. And I feel like the club still, she's a very a big locker room presence, and somebody that has a huge future ahead of her, obviously. But if it doesn't work past this season, obviously the option's right there. It's not a long-term contract by any means. There's a lot of options available now for a lot of players. If it doesn't pan out for you know for the NWSL, there's a USL Women's Super League. Tampa Bay is available. So there's a lot of options. But I don't think with this we are getting a depth player, somebody that's also very important in the locker room. So that's how I see it. Hopefully, we see better performances from her and more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think only 50 minutes played this
Yeah.
season, 4 matches, like you said. I agree. I think Viv, before the injury, was a very bright midfielder, but it kind of remains to be seen if she's that same level of midfielder. I don't know whether it's just she hasn't had the amount of time and chances like she was perhaps getting before in the Pride team, and other midfielders have come in and kind of taken those places, and whether if she got a lot of minutes we'd see a high level of performance from her again, or Is it that after the major surgery she had, she's just not the same player? I mean, it happens to a lot of players. I wouldn't be, the first for this to happen to. So I
Also,
think I agree that she's a good depth piece. That like if she's not costing us a lot of money and we only gonna have her here for next one more year, maybe just as cover, or potentially we're just mutual op. We might just be exercising the option so that we don't lose her on a free. We
yeah,
don't know. Like
yeah.
sometimes that can be the situation here where you're going to extend a player just because then you can actually sell them and get like I don't know
Yeah,
20-30K for Viv
yeah,
that we wouldn't
exactly.
get. Honestly, that's probably about her transfer value right now that we wouldn't get if she just went on a free at the end of this season.
Also, like you mentioned, I mean, this is a player that um, everybody roots for her. She's very important in the locker room. But again, Orlando Pride has a coach and a coaching staff that's able to find gold or try to find new positions for certain players. I feel with Vib, because of her injuries, she certainly doesn't want to have another episode again. So for a top athlete of that caliber, it also takes a lot mentally to recover, because you're not going to go, to get hit again. You're trying to avoid getting hit. And in the position that she plays, clearly she used to be a very greedy player, kind of like more of like kind of Morgan's position, Haley's position, Haley McCutcheon. And so you see how players now in the NWSL, they just look what they do to Banda, for crying out loud, in every game. So obviously that physicality maybe looking for a different position for her wouldn't hurt, depending on her qualities with the ball. I think it is a possibility, but I agree with you. I like the fact that the club is looking for depth, especially coming up this tournaments that they're going to be having, but also getting something in return. So if, let's say, for example, taking another example, let's say Lexington from the USL Super League once,
Yeah.
Viv, okay, pay me 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, whatever, but
Yeah.
you're securing the assets of the club in the right way.
And I don't want to say this in a bad way because I think there is a chance where Viv could, find form again and be a decent
Exactly.
end of a
Yeah.
cell player. But I do kind of agree with you where I would say if she wants to play a lot of minutes going forward in the rest of her career, maybe the USL Super League is a great option.
Yeah.
Like really, like it would
She'll be a top player
look
there.
look at what it's done for
100%.
like Jordan Listro, for example, right? That's
Yeah.
the kind of example it's sometimes if you want at 26 years old like Viv is, she probably wants to play and play now. And in this team, even if she's up to full fitness, I just don't see her getting ahead of the likes of Haley and Morgan and Allie. I just think she's low down on that midfield options. So if she really wants to play, and maybe next year we're going to look to sell her. I don't know, but for right now, she's here potentially for another year. So a good depth piece, and I'm sure not on crazy amount of money. I'm sure not a huge impact on the squad financially. So not a big decision to renew a player on this kind of contract.
Just to add to what you say and to end Viv, we're talking about Viv specifically. Another thing that a lot of players, not only in the women's game but also in the men's game, they do is national team. And again, she already defended the U.S. Women's on the unders, but Peru's still available. And I know that she may not want to hear this, but
Yeah, you're right though.
Peru's still available. They play Copa America. She could be the the best representative I mean, she could actually go there, and play for that national team and actually make a change, be a voice, because of her heritage, and because be somebody that's actually going to make some changes there. And people over there, I do want to say, being Peruvian myself, are very receptive with women's soccer there now. There's some of the big clubs there have their women's soccer team, and there's fans that go there, family atmosphere, and they play in the same pitches as the men. So it's really um, making some really big strides there. And but the national team itself, they're lacking that having an Orlando Pride, NWSL player with that experience at such a young age. She could certainly, it could revitalize her career. It has happened with a lot of, we've seen players doing that one-time switch in the men's side from Italy to like South America, and from South America to Central America, because they have that dual nationality or dual heritage. That's another option too. It is available. So that's what I wanted to say too. So
Yeah, man. I think it's like we said before. If you want to play, but it doesn't matter, national or club. If you want to play, you'll go find somewhere that wants you, right? I think, and you're going to get those minutes. So, hopeful that we'll see more from Viv in the future, but it remains to be seen right now. Alrighty, moving on to another new contract. This one is a full new multi-year contract, so not a renewal, not a extension or mutual option. This is a new deal for Zara Chavoshi, a player that we only just signed at the beginning of this season on a rookie deal. So it's only taken her really 6 months to get a new contract, and I think well deserved, Luis. I've got the goal up here. Do you want to look at that before you give us your
for
thoughts?
sure, yeah. Let's watch the goal.
So here's a goal that Zara Chavoshi scored. I'm going to make it full screen for us. For Canada. This was her first ever goal against Costa Rica.
Alley do from the flag. Good spot. Great header.
There you go.
I don't know if you could hear the commentary. He's a little quiet, but he says, good spot, great header. And I think, yeah, it's Zara, just classic center back headed goal from the corner. Beautiful ball in, just rises really well and gets a clean head on it. Straight past the keeper, back of the net. I mean, there's no stopping that. So would like to see her do this for Orlando Pride. I know the little we have seen of her, I've been very impressed. It's difficult to get in the team right now at center back with the quality of center backs we have. But Zara, if anyone could push in there, it's her, because she's showing like she knows how to play the position.
Great vision and great eye by the Pride front office and coaching staff for getting one of the most influential defenders for the actual collegiate level. A player that technically could have played in any league she wanted. And Orlando goes and poaches his Wake Forest defender. She had some of the best stats in the collegiate level, and I mean, honestly, this is one of the reasons why we have a good front office, because we're looking years from now. When Emily maybe goes to, I don't know, God forbid, but Emily or our back line decides to maybe take a different turn in life. It happens. We have Sarah now, a very good defender, solid, healthy, young, a lot of edge, influential, to come and take the reins. And I think since she's done her debut, she's not only impressed the locker room, but also she's a great person, great personality to be around, but also a phenomenal player. I mean, just to say, playing full 90 minutes against Portland, making her start. So it's great to see Sarah score, and I love the fact that she had the actual nosebleed. So not afraid of the header after the
She'd taken a
nosebleed.
beating before that
Yeah,
game. Yeah.
pretty rough, man. pretty edgy right there.
Yeah, I
Good,
feel
good
like
for
she's got
Sarah.
that grit about her.
Yeah,
Definitely.
she's a fighter.
She has a new contract through 2027 with a mutual option for 2028. So potentially we've got 3 more years of Zara. I imagine over that time she will probably make her way into being a first team regular. I would be shocked
I agree too.
if she hasn't in the next couple of years. She definitely shows that. Great quote from Haley here saying Zara has exceeded our expectations in her rookie season and proven herself to be a valuable asset to our squad. Her seamless transition from college to professional level, combined with her clutch performances when called upon, demonstrates the quality and character we value at Orlando Pride. So, yeah, I mean, it clearly shows she was brought in as one of the first player outside of the draft, and already has got a new contract. I think probably a little pay bump now, not on the base rookie wage anymore, on something slightly nicer than that. As a reward for her good performances and locking her down for the future. So another smart decision by the front office here to lock down a very bright defender for us. I don't know why she's pictured here with the USA flag on. I guess they thought she was going to play for USA, but she's playing for Canada, so this kind of looks a little awkward now. I don't know why. She got the USA and the Canada flag on? I think so.
Yeah,
weird. That's weird. I don't know why they. I never just.
Well, she decided to play. Maybe they took that picture before.
This is like you could do both. Yeah, she had two options. Yeah, I just only noticed that. I don't know.
Yeah, so she probably took a picture beforehand because before she picking Canada. So I mean, she's killing it with Canada. I mean, good for Canada.
I mean, she's really pushing to. I mean, we're going to talk about the internationals coming up, but she could potentially be in a very big game for Canada coming up, and is really doing well to get into a very high level of national team at such a young age. I mean, I think she's like 20 years old. No, 22 years old. So still extremely young. Yep. All righty. Next one, Luis. We have on the list. So Grace Chanda has been given a mutual option for 2026. So the mutual option for Grace Chanda has been exercised. What that means is essentially she's just going to be here through the 2026 season. As of now, there's no new contracts or extension. On this one, I think I personally was surprised, and I think you were surprised, Luis. Not in like a bad way. I think that we haven't seen much of Grace at all. So to hear about her getting an extension, I think was just a little bit surprising from a point of view of how little we've seen of her. She's actually played so far this season 30 minutes in over 3 matches. So really, I think that's even less than Viviana, to give you an idea. And I think, Luis, a lot of my concern was based on the idea that we thought Grace was going to be a high-impact player in this squad, someone that was going to be an international and someone that was potentially going to replace Adriana in that left wing position and really, hopefully come back from injury last year and push on and become potentially a key part of the squad. I don't think that's the scenario. I think it's more likely that she's just a part of the squad, a squad piece, the rotation option, someone that's going to be there and will give you some minutes, but maybe not the key piece that we thought originally. And I think that's okay. I just believe that we all had maybe slightly higher expectations for what she was going to bring. And she might still do more in the future. I'm not ruling that out.
Yeah, I mean, this is a gamble in the chance of, at least to me, it feels like this is a player that had a lot of glitz and glamour and bright lights in Spain and was influential and played with her national team. Unfortunately, lingering injuries, and coming out of a tough injury as well. There is really no stats for this year for her. She's been a substitute against Portland, Kansas City. So she seems that she's regaining post injury fitness. Uh, Clearly, the club feels that her role is expected to grow later on this year and in 2026. So, all I can do is wish her the very best because she's an Orlando Pride player, and if the organization feels like this is a player that they want to keep and they want to, you know, put the eggs in the basket for her, then so be it. I don't know if how it's gonna go down the road, but this is a team that's very responsible with the signings that they do, and I understand that not a lot of the signings pan out the way it happens in soccer. No, not all the signings you think you make are all going to have an immediate impact. But if you're a little patient, you could. I mean, it could become a really good signing. I mean, like again, right now, being June 30th, we've talked about Grace, we've talked about Priska Chalufia. But if you take it in the men's game, at some point, people want to get rid of Ramiro Enrique, they want to get rid of Martino Ojeda, they want to get rid of Ivan Angulo, and look at them now, So uh, in soccer, things are unpredictable, and this could turn the tide for sure. There's a chance that this could turn the tide. But again, I was surprised also with a mutual option for 2026. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I know that you have information regarding this, John, a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that I think it's not always like I think you have to look at a player from multiple angles, right? Sometimes it's always we're looking at like production on the field. What are you doing? But there's more than that. There's the locker room stuff. There's a lot of things that holistically players can have that they bring to the team that maybe others are not. I think Grace is definitely someone that is liked around the squad, and I think that, like you said, the 2-year injury kind of thing is maybe I was thinking it was a year needed off, and she was going to get going at the beginning of this season, but maybe there's still some rust that's being worked off this year, and there's potential for her to grow and develop into the future. I mean, she's 28 years old, so she's in her prime. Really, now is hopefully when she can come back and start performing like she's had some very good performances for Zambia in the past. She just hasn't really had any in a pride shirt. So I'm hoping that there is more to come from her. And also, like we said, if she is perhaps really regarded as more of a squad player than like a key piece, and you're saying, okay, we're going to extend you, and we have enough international slots, so that's not a problem, and we're maybe not paying her as much as we might have thought originally. Like I think a lot of the time we thought maybe she was going to be, an expensive signing, but she might not be. We don't really know. And so if that's the case, then yeah, I think there's anything wrong with keeping Grace around. But I do want to see more from her. And I think a lot of that just comes from maybe our own expectations that we put on. Maybe that was us inventing those. But
Well,
I think there was some hype around her that hasn't really landed.
well, Elizabeth has some comments here. We need a left winger. Gray hasn't played well in 2 showings. Grace and Prisker are disappointing. We really need goal scorers, she says. I'm with her in the event that we expected more from Priska and Grace.
Yeah.
I think we
Maybe
want
Chanda just set our Zambian expectations so high.
right. We wanted the Zambian rock and sock connection. You know what I mean? Like we wanted that tag team, championship tag team. When it came to this Zambian connection, and unfortunately, we've gotten a diamond with Barbara Banda, but at the moment, being June 30th at 8:42 p.m., I cannot say the same of Grace and Priska, unfortunately. Now there are some WSL players that are without a contract still. I don't know if they're the most influential. I really don't follow those leagues at all. But Ingrid Engen, for example. I don't know if she's been signed already for. She used to be the Barcelona striker. Like hey, if Priska's not working out, like Elizabeth says right here in the comments, we need goal scorers, especially what's coming next. So
I could see us going out and finding a veteran who's in the free in the transfer window that's
Ingrid Engen, man.
just ended with a season in Europe and is like, hey, it happened last summer. I know what's going to be happening around the league with other teams. I didn't really think we were a team at the beginning of the year that needed to make changes. I thought that we were looking pretty good, but as we've come through the year, I definitely agree with what Elizabeth was saying. I think we do need some goal scorers, whether that's, like we said before, whether that's players in the squad stepping up that we know can score goals, who are just not this year, or that's new blood. Either way, we got to find a way to get some more goals from other people that isn't just Barbara, especially because right now we're really relying on her entirely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, and again, I might be completely incorrect, but I know that there's a lot of. I mean, we need a forward that's gonna complement Barbara Benda. KC loaded up. We need scores to keep pace. Yeah. So I mean, again, Rashidat Ajibade is one. Ingrid Engen, it's a 9. That it's pretty good. She played in Barcelona. So but I agree with you guys. I mean, I think we need somebody that's gonna make that immediate impact. That's gonna take that pressure off Banda, because so we'll see. So you want to go to the next one?
Yes, indeed. Alrighty. Another renewal happening recently. In fact, this is a new contract. Haley McCutcheon. Haley McCutcheon has been given a new contract through 2028. That was announced on June 25th. An absolute no-brainer. If there is a definition of a no-brainer, if someone asked me, should we give Haley McCutcheon a contract? I said, have you not done that already? Because she deserves, all the contracts. An incredible player, had an incredible season last year, is doing almost as well this year. I can't say enough things that are good about Haley McCutcheon. So excited that she will be here for another 3 years potentially.
110%. To me, she's one of the best players in the team. She's played every match for the Pride this year. 2 goals, 1 assist. She scored in the quarterfinal and semis of the 2024 NWSL playoffs. Played full 90 minutes in the championship match. In 2023, she started in all 22 regular season games. So this is a player that it's one of the engines of the team. So it was imperative for the club to exercise, because she was going to be, I'm sure, a target for even markets in Europe, big money markets, because she is such a great player. Consistent, a lot of grit, a lot of edge, leadership qualities. I love her puppy. He's adorable. So a lot of good, phenomenal qualities. So proud of her. Good job by the front office of pulling this off, and I'm happy to see her move forward with the Orlando Pride. I want to see her national team. That's all I'm saying too.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the call-ups that have been happening, like we talked about, like Lola Bonta, I would argue McCutcheon could get a shout
Yeah.
there. I don't know if it will happen. It just Emma Hayes seems to be very selective about the older players that are getting, selected. But maybe McCutcheon's an option. We don't know. She's only 29 years old. I would not rule it out if she continues to play the way she is, and U.S. Women's National Team has a need for a box-to-box mid. She's one of the best that are available in that role, in my opinion.
For sure. I totally agree. So we need to see her in the national team, but I'm happy that she's back in the team, and she's gonna be staying for a long term.
Yes, indeed. So that's 5 renewals in the past 5 days for Orlando Pride. Haley is busy getting all of these announcements out while we don't have games, sort of in a mid-season break here for Orlando Pride. And with that mid-season break, Luis, comes, of course, lots of international games. Let's start with the U.S. women's national team as they played Ireland for the second time. And who was in the starting lineup for that game? None other than Orlando Pride, queen of center backs, Emily Sams. She played a great game. They were playing this three-back formation that we've never really seen before. Uh, well, we see a little bit under Hayes, but not straight out from the beginning, and not in the same way that we saw here. It was very aggressive, very attacking, and Emily Sams kind of was allowed to be that hybrid right back / center back role, and she was everywhere. She was doing her thing in defense, but also she was getting up on the right side, joining in with the wing back who was flying up this right side over here. And so, yeah, it was just a very good performance for her all around, and one that we don't always see because she hasn't really been given these opportunities, Louise.
No, for sure. It was a dominant performance by the women's national team. 68% of possession. No shots on goal from Ireland. So Rose Lavelle was impressive to see her come back and scoring and assisting in the first match. So I was impressed about that. You know, definitely she had family, I know, in the stands, so it was good that she was able to score. And again, Alisa Thompson as well, doing great. Some coffee. So I don't know, honestly. I like that Emma Hayes is putting her quote unquote depth pieces, but I love the fact that Emily was able to get some playing time. I know how important that's for her, and it's good for us because she's not going to be just staying at home, or reading a book or getting some coffee. She's going to be actually playing, and that's in a way helping us, setting us up for what's coming next for the season. So, but I'm happy to see that. Also, it's good to see that there's change in the back line because uh, Crystal Dunn just announced that she's going to be leaving Portland after this season. So it's going to be some moves happening. I don't know if she's going to retire or whatnot, but it's coming to that time in which you need to have fresh faces on defense, and I think Emily Sams is one of the, if not top center back in the NWSL.
Yes, so it was good to see her get that full 90 there with USA. She did not play in their first game against Ireland. Carrie Abello did not play, I believe, in either of the games so far. I'm just double checking that. She didn't come on. No, she did not. She was named to the bench on the first game, but I didn't see her named. Maybe it was just footnote. I didn't see her named for the second game against Ireland. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe they just didn't have enough players. Maybe this football being wrong. She didn't come on. I know that, but I'm hoping she didn't get injured or anything. I don't know why she wouldn't be on the bench for USA, but Carrie was sent home. Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. I must have missed that piece of news. Yes, she must have got injured or something. But Carrie was not featured in this one and will not be featured. I guess she must have picked up something. Did you hear about that, Luis? Carrie getting sent home? It makes sense. That's why she wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't there. I think
Must
she
have
just
been an injury. So I don't think the club announced that officially, but it might have been on her socials.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't have the official word from the club, but I know for a fact that um she did take a picture of her and and some of the players from Ireland. They were in Penn State, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was there. It's just she was just not. not used, in my opinion. I mean, they departed training camp according to what I have here. I'm checking my email. Yeah, it
Yeah.
says here. Look, it says Carabello official. Carabello and Giselle Thompson both have departed
Yeah,
training
the U.S.
camp
women's national team announced it.
due to hamstring injuries. Will not be we're not on the roster for the match against Ireland. They will
Well,
not be replaced. So
apologies, everybody. I missed that piece of information. So that explains why she wasn't on the bench. Sad for Carrie then. So she's coming back. But Emily potentially will be playing in a huge game on July 2nd. So Wednesday night against Canada. I mean, I say huge, it's still a friendly, but a much bigger friendly than we've had really recently for the U.S. women's national team. So I'm interested to see if Emily gets on the field for this one, Luis. If she's able to play, if they pick her, if they play the three back again, she played
Sarah
really well.
Sarah
So,
against Emily.
yes, exactly. It could be Zara against Emily. Of course, Zara played in the last game at center back. Emily played in the last game at center back. If they're both picked again, then we could see them kind of face off in a big game for Zara for sure, and also for Emily as well. But that hopefully will be a better test because really the U.S. national team against some of these opponents, it feels like a training game really sometimes. Luis, like you said, that Ireland match, we were just all over them. There was really no response, and I know the Irish national team was missing some key players, but I think there's such a big gap between the top sort of 5-6 women's soccer teams in the world, and then when you get down into the likes of Ireland, etc., which are just not at the same level. Alrighty, moving on. Internationals, players that are going to be in action over the next sort of few weeks. We've got Zambia, Luis. We've got Barbara is going to be, as well as Grace and Priska. On Saturday, they play Morocco at 4 p.m. And then they're going to have some more games later in July. So we'll talk about those as we get to them. But the first one they've got Saturday, 5 o'clock, 4 p.m. Sorry, Saturday, 5th, 4 p.m. They are playing Morocco. So look out for that if you want to see Barbara and co in action. Zara and Emily, as we mentioned, will be in competition against each other. Marta and Angelina, they're not going to play until Sunday, but they are, of course, in the Copa America. So that's exciting. Both of them in the squad. Their first game will be against Venezuela on Sunday, July 13th. So as we get closer to that, we'll talk all about that. And the other international, we have, a couple of US U23s. Simone Jackson and Ali Lemos are with the training camp for U23s. They don't have any games, but they have been picked as part of the new U.S. women's U23 training camp, something that Emma Hayes has added in. And Ali Lemos, who was with the U20s so long, has now been called up for that, as well as Simone Jackson, our new signing that we brought in recently and just got her first minutes last game. And finally, Anna Morehouse is going to be playing, probably not playing, sadly, but England will be in the UEFA European Women's Championship, and Anna will probably be on the bench for all of it, I'm guessing, Louise, as she is not yet to feature for England. Hannah Hampton has taken over that number 1 spot and seems to be the preferred choice, even in the friendlies building up to this competition. So I imagine Anna will be there as moral support with part of the team and maybe come on for one of these games. I'd love to see her eventually get some minutes for England, but right now, just happy she is one of the Lionesses as they go into a really big tournament in the Europa, the Euros, as we like to call it, sorry. And England are really a favorite up against Spain, so we'll see how that goes. Luis, you got any thoughts on any of these internationals that are going to be going on over the summer?
Yeah, I mean, Copa America is going to be interesting. Definitely, I'll be following closely Brazil. And it'll be cool again, Viv, hey, Peru's still available, But I was actually really proud to see, and I know we talked, you talked about the U.S. women's national team, man, not too long ago, but it was good to see Sam Mesa. I follow the USL Super League as well, and she 6 months ago she was playing in the USL Super League. Sam Mesa, and
She had a great debut.
yeah, she then was signed by the Seattle Reign, and she made her U.S. Women's national team debut, and I just love the fact when there's these stories of of fighting hard for what they, for a goal or an ideal, and I think what she demonstrated was something tremendous, and kudos to her family, and what she represents is the growth of soccer, of women's sports in the states. The women's game essentially, right? So it's phenomenal for that to be rewarded. Now, um, definitely paying close attention to Brazil. Brazil is having a lot of buzz. They have a lot of good players. Colombia as well. I think Colombia is a top team there, so we're gonna be following that. So I think as long as no one gets injured, John, I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
happy that they're getting the minutes, the national team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's always go off and be national team, but please come back non injured. We got a couple comments here. You want to read those
Yeah,
out?
it says of all sad words, Serena is stubborn and will not play an cap keeper at the Euros. Hampton will play the entire tournament until she falls over and dies, which I hope doesn't happen. I guess Aitana Bomati is gonna play with viral meningitis or whatever. Who knows? If Brazil makes the final, we are without Marta and Angelina. There you go. Well, it's time to. Well, somebody has to step up, right? I mean,
Yeah,
last
well, I mean, I think it's just the timeline. That's what Elizabeth's saying. Is if they get that far in, they will overlap into our next end of SL game. Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting with these internationals. I think the whole time where they're talking about how Anna's never going to get a shot. I think that's looking, sadly true. I kind of feel for her in a way because as someone that is English and American and spent their whole, a long time flying back and forth from England, I know how much time and energy that it is. So I think for Anna to keep doing it and never get, at least one shot, I think that's got to weigh on you. Surely, I'm sure she loves being part of the group, but that's a lot of time and energy to go over there and really just be a training goalkeeper. So I think at some point it would be nice, maybe not in this tournament, but put her in for a friendly against somebody who's not that good. Because I think it would be good, Luis. I think it's, for me, whenever you bring players, you got to rotate. You got to try and play all those players in the camp. I never understand why you're having friendlies and you call up everybody and you don't play some of the players unless they're injured. Let's get some minutes. So hopeful at some point Anna will get that first cap for the England national team, but yeah, it's probably not going to be in the Euros.
Yeah, we gotta be prepared for. We gotta be prepared for players to be leaving in national team duty, and other players need to step up. That was one of our formulas of success last season with the double and the championship. And I think it's time to see more of the Ali Lemos. It's time to see more of the people that are coming behind the big stars. That's why it's important to us to scope not just maybe NWSL or Europe or see the free agency, maybe even the USL Super League. You look at Zam Meza right now. She played in Dallas Trinity, and and the rain picked her up, and again, I understand she'll never be a banda, but you understand, like, you're getting somebody that's playing and scoring goals and being influential, and I think that's what this team needed. Um, Coming off a really successful historic run last season, and that's what it was expected for Priska and for Chanda, And but I think the players are coming behind those big signings need to step up. So hopefully we get to see Julie Doyle, even maybe Amanda Allen. Why not? So hopefully that's the case. So we'll see. I think we have some more comments here.
Yep.
It says here, if update on Ohaine, please.
I do not have an update on Ohaine. She is definitely injured, as we all know and we all saw. And I really felt for her in that moment because I feel like she's just starting to get going. We haven't heard anything yet. The club rarely will inform us until they'll probably announce it with the. Technically, they don't have to announce it until the next NWSL game when they have to put out the availability report. So they could tell us, but they might just say nothing, and then hopefully she'll be back by then anyway, Luis. Like I would be shocked if it's longer than that. It didn't seem like a major injury.
Yeah, I mean the club hasn't said anything, and speculation. It will just be just for clicks, and we don't want to be that type of outlet. Be honest with you. All I can tell you is that she's a great player, but personally, this is just a personal opinion. I feel more confident with Corey Dyke on that position. I think with Corey Dyke, at least to me, I've seen. I think she adapts to the back a little better.
Yeah.
We control the ball a little more. She plays a little bit more defending. She's a little bit more tactical because she's used to the Seb Hines system. So I think Ohaine, just like any other player that's coming and is playing the first season in the NWSL, there's a period of adaptation, and I think she's going to be better next year.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's an opportunity for, again, the Brianna Martinez's, the Corey Dykes to step up, and we need to see that depth.
I wouldn't mind seeing Oyane up in the wing position, man. I know we're talking about needing wingers. When she was we were playing 5 back and she was getting really high up on the right. I feel like she's got some of the best, technical ability, some of the best feet on the wing that we got out there. So maybe the answer is, her in front of Corey and just say, Oyana, you're going to be a right winger. Or
yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But
we've seen her play there.
Yeah, maybe, but she couldn't handle Chawinga. She couldn't handle, I mean, I'm talking about one of the prides. I understand people want to score goals and games are win with goals, but I mean, you also have to defend. And when you have a player that just goes into the attack and doesn't really tread back or has sloppy passes, unfortunately, it could bite you against teams like Washington, like Kansas City, so, and that's what, at least what I saw.
Yeah. I think she's more of a wing back than a full back.
So yeah, I mean, they could adapt her as a winger, as a right winger. We'll see. I just feel like she's into this period of adaptation to the league, in which she's gonna make mistakes. And I mean, she's a phenomenal player, but I think she's gonna have a better season next year, in my opinion. I feel more confident defensively with Corey Dyke right there in the back 4.
Yeah, I think it's good to start Corey, bring Oyane on like a more attacking threat. If we need a goal, or like we talked about, use her in other positions. I mean, she's only, what is she? She's 25 years old.
Yeah, she's a young kid, man.
I'm expecting more from her, and I think the bright moments we have seen from her have been really good. So hopefully she comes back in time to play when we were back in action in August. Elizabeth asking about Rafa. Really, on Rafa, it's when she comes back. It's just a matter of time, and then I'm not sure if we're going to throw her straight in anyway. I think at this point, Rafa is a good rotation center back when we need her. I don't think we should be planning to have Rafa start in lots of games, because I just think it's shown that she can be good for 5-6 games and she gets an injury. So I just really think that we should, at the age she's at, it's when she does come back, think about her as an option, sure, but I still believe Kylie and Emily are going to be your regular center backs.
Yeah, look, Orlando Pride removed Raffaele and Grace from SCI on March 5th of this year, right? So, um, but they both still have nagging injuries. And so I think the most responsible situation that the club can do is just let them heal completely. Chanda may be having hopefully a sooner recovery than Rafa, but I think with Rafa, because it's almost, I believe, is the same injury. So you just gotta. She needs to take time. So again, they are definitely both. And I speak for both. To have those type of players as depth is pretty impressive, but just by the name and what they mean, it's tremendous. So if we need Rafa to heal up completely, make sure the doctors and her and the people there at the Pride are comfortable for her to have minutes, and take her game by game, have her ease her up into the formation, but not like rush her, because right now, you have to understand, you have um Nadaner, you have Chavoshi, you have all the players that can step up there in the defensive side that also will allow her to kind of take that time to heal, because certainly she wants to play the sport for a long term. I don't think she wants to retire, or anything like that, or even mention that. So
Yeah.
And I mean, when healthy, Raffaele is a tremendous center back.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a tremendous
No doubt.
defender.
But I think the question starts to be asked when you're 34 and as injured as she's been over the last 2 years. Is she able to really play that much anymore? I think it's sometimes it might be the beginning of the end, right? And I think that's the case for Rafa personally. I think that she's just a little bit too injury prone at that age. This might be her last season for us, or maybe at all. You never know. We'll see. Maybe she'll come back strong, but I'm not
Yeah,
hopeful.
I agree with you. I mean,
And-
if it doesn't work out this season, John, I think, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's an expensive player who's not playing, right? If you
I
think about it.
100% agree with you.
Yeah. Two other players that maybe will come back at some point this season, one of which is Simone Charlie. We still haven't seen. It's kind of on that 2-year recovery list. Hopefully at some point we see her. And Luana. Luana is expected to come back into the squad at some point and play for the squad at some point. So that would be an amazing achievement, and we'll all be. I think that'll be an incredible day when Luana gets back on the field.
110%. I mean, what a tremendous player. Unfortunately, life takes crazy turns, but she's a fighter. She's a fighter. I'm proud of her, and I know for a fact when she comes back, she's not coming back with fire in her eyes.
There won't be a dry eye in that stadium, bro.
And we may be seeing that this is the, because again, the sport is passion, emotion too. That mental, it's mental toughness as well. It's not just physical toughness. And imagine these players. How Luana inspired this historic run for the 2024 campaign. Her coming back, kicking that C word. I'm not going to say the word, but kicking their ass, essentially, coming back into the pitch and battling every ball as she would do when she was 120% on her level, even to the point that they were going to wanted to take her for the Brazilian national team. That's the Luana that's going to come back. I have no doubt. That's the Luana that's going to come back, and that's going to inspire the Angelinas, the Martas that right now they're not looking really so swell. They're being a little bit inconsistent. Maybe that's what it takes to take this team to overcome a new power level, John. You know, so
Yeah, I mean, I think the second half of the season, it's going to be, we need new energy, we need
yep,
new goals, we need something from somewhere, whether that's players returning from injury that are going to bring new life into the squad, whether that's players that are underperforming this year that are finally going to figure it out and start clicking, or even new transfers. We don't know. Like, Haley's always cooking something, so we don't know. This offseason, she might be working on something. Um, and then we're going to see where a new player. Who knows? But I think that
Elizabeth said we need
they
a
know
winger. We need
the
a winger.
yeah. I think they know that they need to figure out how to get the attack going and
Yeah,
use this as a reset time. It's all but also rest. I think that's important, right? I think
true.
it was such a whirlwind last year and everything that happened, and then there's such a short off season. It's all been go go go, and we've been playing every game like everyone's coming through our throats. Like it's been so intense, and defending that the level of pressure to try and repeat last year. So maybe this 6 weeks is good to just kind of let the players rest, like fully rest. Of course, I'm sure they're going to bring them in and keep them up to fitness and get them ready to go again. But also maybe there's a couple weeks here where they're just actually having a nice mid-season vacation and getting some R&R.
For sure, for sure. We're gonna read some comments. Yes, John says Elizabeth. I think she was just agreeing with you about Rafa. Um, so do you like potatoes, John? Do you like Idaho potatoes?
Where are you going with this, Luis?
Well, there's a new team. Yep, Idaho is not only going to be known for their potatoes.
Mm.
They're going to be known for Athletic Club Boise. I hope I
Boise,
pronounced it right.
Idaho.
Boise. Yeah. They're going to be playing the USL Super League, actually, in 2027. So they just released their logo and all of that. And also, just to give you a little bit more news from that side of the pond, former Orlando Pride player Erica Timrak, IMG Academy, posted this. She finally retired. She hanged the cleats. So she retired as a champion with the Tampa Bay Sun. So, making strides there. So
Yeah, I mean the expansion of many teams continues. You know what I mean? I mean
for
it's
women's soccer,
yeah,
more
it's
opportunities.
right. You got Denver, of course. You've got Boston, and then Super League. There's talk of what Charlotte, Chattanooga. They're working on other cities. There's talk of Atlanta, and like there's so many different. Not only with the NWSL, but with the USL Super League and the WSL, the WPSL Pro. There's clubs of all different shapes and sizes in women's soccer popping up across the country, and it's going to be exciting to see how this league grows and also how the sport grows in this country on the women's side.
100%. So a lot of that after every season, John, mostly all the players in the USL Super League become free agents. So right now, even the Sun have lost a lot of players. Some of them are going to college. Some of them are going to be going to Ole Miss and Michigan, and so it's pretty interesting how there's so many more opportunities for women to play the sport of soccer. So I think as for that, you know, even though it's confusing to have two D1 level leagues, I think for the growth of soccer, I think it's phenomenal. So other than that, that's all I got, John.
That's it. I was concerned this week we wouldn't have anything to talk about, and we talked for an hour and 10 minutes
There you
about
go.
transfer, contract extensions and international
We
games.
need it.
So
We need an interview.
yes,
Probably
we're gonna work on some stuff for
bring
next
Haley
week
back.
because I'm sure this news is not gonna keep flowing like this forever. But yeah, we will work on some things. But thank you for everybody who is here. We appreciate you all. Please go ahead and like us on social media. You can follow us on any of the social platforms that you like. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram, X or Blue Sky,
Blue Sky as well.
at LPL_podcast on most of those, or just type in Loud and Proud Orlando. You will find us. You can also please go ahead and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify if you think we're worth 5 stars. We appreciate that a lot because that helps us get up in the algorithm so more people find our podcast. Same thing on Apple Podcasts. If you can like and follow there and drop us a rating, we appreciate that. And on YouTube, if you're watching there, please go ahead and drop a subscribe. I know there's lots of people who watch but aren't necessarily subscribed to Loud and Proud Orlando. So drop a sub. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us out and helps more people find the podcast. So thank you to everybody who's listening and always here with us and dropping comments. Thank you to Elizabeth and Allside Words for being here as well, live, giving your inputs. We always appreciate you all. And all I can say, Luis, is Vamos Pride.
Yeah, Vamos Pride. And again, I also want to give a shout out to Zambia. Zambia Kuchalo, guys. Have a good one.
Alrighty.
Take care. Have a good one.
Vamos Pride, guys.